How's it going, everybody? This is Xavier here, and I want to discuss the danger room with you guys because this danger room is the hardest one that we've actually had in game right now. And personally, I am actually enjoying it. There are some issues and pitfalls I do want to kind of help you guys out with because this one is very, very rough. So I kind of want to give you some pointers. Now, as of the time of recording, there's just under 11 days left on here. I've done this so many times where you can see how many points I currently have. I have 1020 banked up, and as far as the only one I have active that you're going to be seeing in this video in the recording is going to be the arena bonuses on here. So my tip for you guys is drop down to about difficulty 8 or 9, farm up at least 1000 of these tokens, and that's really going to help you guys out. Now, I do want to jump over to some footage for you guys that you're going to see right here, because in this footage, I was messing with this for about 3 or 4 hours trying to get all the information for you guys. And some of the enemies that you're going to see in here, the buckets don't really line up with where they should end up being. For instance, right here, this is the second node, or third node technically, because you can see at the top it says 3 of 20. And this is the Cabal, this is the Cabal team with the Annihilators, and this one is rough. You can kind of see how fast this team is going, and they just kind of lay into you. And I'm just using Franklin and Silver Surfer, and my recommendation for this node is, because it's the second actual battle node that you're going to be doing, if you run across this, just start a whole new run. It's not worth banging your head against this one, because unless you have a specific pack that we're going to be talking about, or mod, which has to do with Silver Surfer, I wasn't usually able to clear this. If I did, my cooldowns were all out of whack, and I just kind of had to back out, start over. It saves a lot more time than trying to kind of push through this. You can see right now, they're just tearing into me. I still have to use Franklin's ultimate. He's about to get killed off, which Gore ends up doing to me right here. So that's one hell node I want to warn you guys about. The second one is on node 1, the absolute A-Force team with Kahori. If you see this on node 1, again, just start a whole new run. It's not worth trying to push through this, because Kahori is going to murder your characters and you're not really going to get a turn. So I do think some of the buckets on this are definitely not lined up with where they should end up being. With that being said, there's a few nodes later on where they have like Odin, Mephisto, Apocalypse, Black Knight, all those tough characters, and they're not even on the elite combat nodes. So I did give feedback saying, hey, some of these buckets seem like they are out of tuned on here. Now, what we have here is basically, at the time of recording this, I had 880 points banked up. Again, the only mod I had on was the arena mod on top of the free mods, because those don't cost anything. So like I said, drop down to about difficulty 8, difficulty 9, whatever your highest one that you can do. Farm up at least 1,000 points so you can activate the arena mod. If you have to use the rental tokens, I would recommend farming up at least 1,500. That way you can add on the extra damage, resistance, armor. That's going to kind of help you push through even farther, because you're going to have that extra damage boost and everything. Now, what we have here on the side are mods I want you guys to actually look out for. These are ones that's going to help you push and actually clear difficulty 10. The first one that you see here is Too Hot to Handle. This has to do with Human Torch. Basically, this one here makes it to where all the damage that you do with the Fantastic Four characters is going to be permanent damage. That's going to help you out immensely when you get to those Odin, Mephisto, and even the last node with the Xavier and everything. A couple other ones that you're going to see cycle through here. This is the Silver Surfer mod. Basically, on ally turn, you're going to heal up for 5%. This is going to help you stay alive. The Fantastic Four, as I said in my Everything to Know video, their big drawback is they have no sustainability. They rely on Barrier and Reed Richards' death proofs. Because of the no sustain, the Fantastic Four is the best team to use in here. However, the fact you can't heal up, you need to kind of play around with your ices as well. Now, if you can't land the Cosmic one for Silver Surfer, there is one here that you can see where on basic, you're going to heal allies for 10% of that character's max health. Basics were my best friend during this run. You want to conserve your abilities and only use the low cooldown ones unless you absolutely have to use your long ones like Franklin Richards, how he has very long cooldowns. And then even after that, you need to try to find a way to farm the characters to get your cooldowns back on refresh. If you don't do that, you basically wasted your run. The next one that we have on here is going to be Happy Family. This makes it to where when you have Franklin as an ally, your Fantastic Four characters, if you do a basic, you're going to be able to clone a clone of yourself and gain taunt. That's going to help you survive a little bit longer. It's just a little meat shield out there. They die fairly quick on difficulty 10. And the next one we have here is Speeding Ticket. This is going to help you out with like Apocalypse and Super Scroll type of stuff. It's kind of interesting they don't have any mods on there outside of this one to kind of stop like turn meter and everything. There is an Emma Frost one that lowers the speed by 10%. That one is pretty impactful as well. I didn't throw that one on this list. The next one we have here is going to be Power Rebalance. This one is basically mandatory. It basically makes it down to where the last node Xavier has 1% health, and you still need to use like a special to clear through him, because if you use an ultimate, you're not going to kill him and everything. So this is a mandatory one. If you get towards like node 16, you don't see this one, or even 18, because I think 19 is the last one. You can kind of get a mod type of thing on there. If you don't see it, just start over. It's brutal. The next one that we have on here is going to be Basic Momentum. There are two different routes you can go for this. You can do Basic Momentum, basically making it to where when you keep doing your basics, because like I said, I lived off my basics while doing these runs, you're going to get extra damage and you're just going to kill those characters a whole lot quicker, and just use the abilities if you absolutely have to. There is another one on here where it's this one here, Special Deal. Specials cost 4 less ability energy. This makes it to where you can kind of spam your specials a whole lot more, because again, long cooldowns, right? So don't get both of them, get one or the other. That's going to kind of help you guys out if you do end up seeing this. And also this one here, the heal nodes are your absolute best friend when you're actually pushing on that difficulty 10. I try to grab as many heal nodes as I can. That way when I hit the Xavier node at the end, I can heal up my characters, and that will basically help you guys survive, because node 18 typically has a pretty rough team that you have to go into, and if you're not fully healed going into the Xavier Illuminati node, you will be destroyed. Try to get at least 150 to 200 heals. That way you can heal up 3 or 4 of your characters to max, so you can actually kind of get through that. So the last tip of advice, which I don't have on here, is ISOs are so important, because you need to kind of play around with who's going to be a raider, who's going to be a striker, who's going to be healer. Healer ISOs are so important on here. As you're going to see in this run, I had 2 characters set as a healer, Silver Surfer and Mr. Fantastic. After that, I had raiders out there or strikers. If you do get Human Torch, keep him as a skirmisher. Make your Fantastic Four characters as a striker, so you keep getting those triple taps out there. Now, as I said, you can see here, the only mod I have on is going to be the arena mod. Even though I had those extra points, I wanted to try to get this done by just using the arena portion on here. I did end up clearing Danger Room twice. The first time I did all the damage ones, up to, I don't think I did the 750. I might have done 750, but I did the damage ones. I actually felt that one was fairly good if you get the right characters. The arena ones, though, are so important depending on who you end up going into. So with that being said, let's go ahead and check out my run. Now, I think there's a clear-cut winner as far as who to end up grabbing. Franklin is going to be a very, very big one if you're doing the arena one. And then Silver Surfer. You want to try to land the mod where he does the healing. I didn't get that during this one, but he is actually a pretty good character during this. Another option, which is you end up going with the damage route over the arena route, would be Human Torch as the secondary character. And again, just play with the striker skirmisher combination. That's really going to help you guys out during this type of run. Now, the first node that we have here is just going to be the Hive Mind. It's 3 characters that actually got a very good one. And here you can see the ISOs. I'm switching Franklin over to a Raider. and I'm keeping Surfer a healer. That way the healer from Surfer is going to keep my characters topped off, because again, we have no sustain with the Fantastic Four characters on here. Now, during this run, you are going to see where it's going to have a pop-up saying, hey, this is attempt 1. I didn't one-shot every single node. If you're going into this expecting that you're going to one-shot every single node until you get to the Xavier node, you are sadly mistaken. That's actually why I kind of like this Danger Room, is because we've had so much easy content in the game that this was the most fun and the longest I actually played this game in at least 2 weeks to a month, because of the negative zone just kind of burning me out. The towers were uneventful. The Quasar trials, they were so easy to me that I didn't feel enticed to play. This was actually really fun for me, and I know it's not for everybody, because there is kind of that casino effect of, hey, what are you going to end up playing in? But that's just the nature of what roguelite actually is. So I was kind of used to that, knowing what to expect and everything. And as you see, as far as this node goes, we're just kind of blowing through it pretty quick. Let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit here, because this is so easy. Now, as far as the mods, I'm going to kind of talk to you about what my thought process was while I was grabbing each of these mods. So this one here, we had a Emma Frost 10% speed reduced to all enemies. I believe that's what I ended up going with. The counter was actually pretty enticing to me, making it to where I can kind of counterattack. My thought process behind that one, though, is if I did end up grabbing that, if I run into like a super scroll, I'm basically done, because I don't have any ways to stop turn meter. The on-kill offense up is okay if you lean into the offense up, because there is this one here, on kill you gain offense up. You get Human Torch with the special. He gives offense up, and then there's a mod that stacks extra damage based on the offense ups that you end up having. So yeah, I went with the Emma Frost here. This was another very easy one. It's Omega Red's Silver Samurai and a Ravager minion, right? So super easy on this one. We just kind of blow through this. I'll kind of fast forward so I don't make the video too long for you guys, because the footage here is a little bit longer, so I'll try to cut that down with the rambling that I'm doing. This one here, so barrier, pressure point, strong offense. I want to try to get the sustain going, because again, Fantastic Four doesn't have it. So the barrier was actually a really good one to grab here. The on ally uses a basic apply offense down to the opponent. That one's actually not bad. Thunderbolt, we're not grabbing any Thunderbolt characters because they actually don't do too well in here. So yeah, I believe I went with the barrier on this one just to try to get the extra health. Now, when you're actually pushing difficulty 10, I feel it's better to go towards the care packages and just kind of hold off on the nodes. You are going to end up costing yourself those pink X coins by doing this, but you're getting a higher chance of grabbing characters like this right here, where now we actually can grab a Mr. Fantastic MCU. That's going to give us 2 of the Fantastic Four allies on here. So we just need one more Fantastic Four ally, and then we can actually activate the arena mod that we kind of threw in at the beginning. So you're starting off a little bit slower. If you make it to node 10 and you still don't have a lot of Fantastic Four, I would recommend restarting. You can get to node 10 fairly quick. Now here you can kind of see I have a path. The heal mod to where I can try to start stacking up my heals like I mentioned at the beginning, or we can go towards the elite combat. I'm pushing, I'm just grabbing the heal station right there. Now again, we have a care package or we have an actual combat. I'm going to choose the care package. You can call me a coward all you want, but these nodes can get kind of rough. So here, as far as characters we have Juggernaut, we have Ghost, and we have the Hood. This one here, Juggernaut was okay, but we're not going to get enough accursed members. My thought process on this one is I can grab the Hood, and he at least has some good primary and adjacent damage. He can kind of rip into people. He has ability block controls. So I did end up going with the Hood on this one. Now, we have a choice. We have the elite combat mission or the regular combat mission. I'm not going to do any elite combat missions during my difficulty 10 run unless I absolutely have to, even though there's good mods from clearing those. Based on how difficult the regular combat nodes are during this, I didn't want to risk kind of being pushed into where I need to restart. So we did get lucky. This was actually a very easy node. It was Green Goblin Classic and like I think it was Craven Doc Ock here, yeah. So this one here, we did end up getting lucky. Now you can see as far as the placement goes on here, I do have Mr. Fantastic next to the hood. If I want to play it a little bit safer, I could have moved the hood away into the middle section, so I kind of have my Praeton on an island. That probably would have been a lot better for me. But this node here is fairly easy. There's really no threats. Just try to push into the Green Goblin Classic, get those charges off as much as you can. Again, I'm just going to be using my basic attacks on here. I don't feel threatened enough to where I need to use any of my abilities, especially when they kind of have longer cooldowns. So basics are your friend, like I mentioned. So let's go ahead, fast forward through this node right here and see what we go into next. So as far as the claim goes for this node, we have strong offense, special trauma, and strike team. So we aren't going to end up grabbing the Thunderbolts because the Thunderbolts, we're not going to grab any of those characters. On start, if there are 3 or fewer allies, that one, if you are trying to really push on the leaderboard, because if you can complete this using 3 characters, you get a massive point boost at the end that's going to kind of get you towards that top 50 goal. I don't care about that, so I'm going to use the special applies trauma for this one, even though the short term, grabbing the strike team might be a little bit better. Here comes another care package, and this right here, this is the one that we want, the power rebalance. This is so pivotal in you actually clearing difficulty 10 and not clearing difficulty 10, because again, that's going to take 99% health off the Xavier on the last node. It's going to end up pushing those Odins down to 1%. It's just so important for you to grab this one if you do end up seeing it. So we're going to end up claiming that. Now again, we have a heal pact mod node, whatever you want to call it, or the elite combat mission. We're going to grab the heal on here, so that's going to get us up to the 100 points that you see there on the top right. So now we have enough to where we can heal up 2 characters. If you want to use your X coins to kind of double up on these, I totally get it. I didn't end up doing that during my runs though. So right here is going to be node 10, where it's going to be that shop node. If you don't have a good run at this point to where you have at least 2 or 3 Fantastic Four characters, you don't have any of the mods I mentioned at the beginning, like the Human Torch permanent damage one, the basic momentum, the special, or even the heal, we did end up getting that power rebalance one. So we're going to end up pushing through. So you're going to end up going in here. We can see that there was Invisible Woman, so I'm definitely going to grab her. I already know that in the back of my mind. I wanted to see what mods were here. If there was a Human Torch with his mod in here to where it does the permanent damage, I would have been so happy at this point. Now, as far as the mods goes, there wasn't anything that trumped me grabbing Invisible Woman. So now I can grab Invisible Woman. This is going to allow me to get my 3 Fantastic Four MCU members, and that's going to get the Arena Pact basically up and going to where I'm going to have that extra speed boost now. This node here was a nightmare, if I recall. Let me see when we go in. So right now I'm just switching her back over to a Raider. So we're going to have 3 Raiders, 2 healers. You can see I have Surfer and Reed basically as the healer, so we can try to keep our characters topped off at full health. Yes, this one here you can see on the top right. I put attempt 1 on here. I'll just let this go. This took me 3 attempts. This is where it's talking about don't expect to one-shot every single node. Sometimes you need to go in, figure out the turn orders for what's going to happen, who you actually want to push towards. This one here, it was Moon Knight. I kept trying to go into Oath on here, and she could wreck me because I'd end up pushing her down. She gets her buffs off and everything. And then Moon Knight would basically kill Mr. Fantastic or the Hood. He'd kill somebody off, so that would cause me to kind of restart. So I'll kind of let this play out so you can kind of see what ends up happening on here. And I did end up cutting out the attempt number 2. So there's the ultimate. You can see we just kind of got knocked down fairly good. And then Moon Knight's going to end up popping his special off. So let's go ahead, fast forward right here. So here I'm like, okay, it should be good. Then Moon Knight just totally wrecks me. So this is attempt 3. Basically, I kind of figured out, okay, let's try to take out Moon Knight, get some control into that portion of the battlefield. So there I got the trauma ability block on Oath. I'm going to do a basic with Franklin on here. And then I end up using the stun from Mr. Fantastic So I do end up having to burn one of my abilities, but it was kind of needed to in order for me to kind of get through this node. There I do the basic. I use the special that gets done on Moon Knight, and I'm able to kind of push through that. So that node would end up being done, and I'm at very good health right here. See, everybody's at full health right now. The only cooldown I used was Mr. Fantastic special at this point. Now, as far as the mods goes here, the 20% damage is definitely enticing to me. The Accursed, if you end up getting Blade on your team, he's a really good 5th character for you. That on top of Blade would be very good to end up grabbing. The Trauma bonus, I don't really have many characters that have Trauma that's going to be used on this team, so that one didn't really entice me at this point. So now we have 2 care packages. This one here, I was really torn if I want to grab Thing or if I wanted to grab Songbird. I did end up going with the Songbird route, which I'm definitely happy about. Being able to get that fast character for turn 1 buff flips, it was just so impactful to be able to do that. This one here, the Black Knight. Black Knights are so rough during this run that if I had one run where I had about 3 or 4 Black Knights in a row I had to deal with, if you start running into those and you're kind of not able to clear it, you start over. This one here took me 2 attempts and I had to burn through my cooldown. So here I end up using Invisible Woman's ultimate because I didn't have her special. I don't think I had her special there. So I end up popping the ultimate. I use Franklin's ultimate to try to get through the Black Knight on here. So that does end up getting his buffs off. Then I make the mistake of pushing more into Peggy and Iron Man, I believe, leaving it to where Black Knight's able to get a special. So the way silence works is it's a negative effect. So if they have an ability like Black Knight's special to where he could end up cleansing, that would end up getting rid of the silence, meaning that he can get all of his buffs on. So you do need to be mindful as far as how you're going to end up using your silence. This is attempt 2. I do end up clearing it at this point, so you go basically all in on the Black Knight. Let me fast forward right here. But yeah, so this was a pretty tough node. All the Illuminati characters with the Black Knight is just so rough to try to get through on this one. So there goes the Black Panther Shuri. I take the big hit from Black Knight right here. So at this point, I'm debating in my head, do I want to try to clear this node and keep Mr. Fantastic that low on health? Because he has a heal block, so I won't be able to use my ISO heal to kind of heal him up. I do end up going for the kill on this one, and I have the heal in my bucket if I need to absolutely use it. So that's kind of why I decided to go and actually finish that node. This one here, I didn't really have anything that jumped out at me. It did end up going with the speeding ticket. That's going to basically stop it to where if Apocalypse does his ultimate and he gains that turn meter, it's going to stop the Falcon Punch portion of it to where I have some time to try to punch through it. I grab a care package, and this one here was pretty interesting. I had 2 routes to go realistically. I can go for the Carnage boon or I can go for the kill. I believe I went for the Carnage boon because it's more realistic for me to push characters under 25% health on the last node than to stack up kills. So I was playing the long-term game on there. The no trauma, it was pretty tempting though, but I think the turn meter was the right call on there. So this is node 15. This one here took me, I want to say about 3 or 4 attempts to get through. So you'd see the 99% health ended up going into Gore at this point. I wished it would have gone into Mephisto. So because we had the no turn meter, we are able to kind of ignore-ish the Super Scroll. I end up doing the special turn 1 with Songbird, so I get the turn meter rewind out there. And on this one, I believe I go more into Super Scroll on here, and then that leaves it to where Mephisto ends up getting his Empowered Pact on us. And I think I ability blocked him during this time as well. Yeah, I did the ability block into Mephisto, so he ends up doing the Empowered Basic into Mr. Fantastic and just rips into him. So I do end up backing out, going back in on this, so I'm going to fast forward. So yeah, you can see he does the Empowered Basic on this one. Now, I think this one took me 3 attempts. Attempt 2, I actually switched over to the Hood over Songbird on this one. I wanted the more AoE damage and the multi-shots that he had, and I do end up clearing this one on attempt 3. So we end up doing the basic with Invisible Woman into, or special, so I get the trauma ability block into Mephisto. That ends up killing Gore, and I just go all in on Mephisto, and I'm just going to eat the Super Scroll special, I believe. Okay, ability blocked Super Scroll on this point, and here you can kind of see the heals, the regen stacking up on Mr. Fantastic, and that does end up adding up very quickly. So you can see there he just healed up about a quarter of his health. So that's why the 2 characters as healer is so important to keep your team moving during this type of run. Here I end up popping the ultimate so I can get the buffs, kind of safeguard trauma on me. Mephisto's killed off, the barrier saved me, so I didn't take as much damage. Now we're just going to end up doing basic attacks, I believe, so we can try to get through that Super Scroll. And we're trying to bide our time to try to heal us up as much as we can on this. So here Surfer ends up doing the basic, and now Mr. Fantastic is back at full health. So you can kind of see 2 turns, Mr. Fantastic back at full health. The heal ISO can't be understated for this. The Hood, he healed up. Invisible Woman, she's going to heal up. So let's go ahead, fast forward, get through this node. And the health is all good. I got some of my cooldowns back up, but not as much as I wanted at this point. The claim on this one, the first time I went through this and actually cleared it, I did not get this. The Sinister's boon is actually really, really good, because we were able to use that on the last node to actually get the clone of Professor Xavier. So using the ultimate or Sinister's boon helped me clear it on this run. The other way, like I said, Human Torch permanent damage just annihilates that last node as well. So we do end up going for the Sinister's boon on this one, and I was very happy I actually got this one to land. So I think at this point I was kind of determining, do I want the ultimate clone or do I want the on-killed trauma? Because on the last node, we'd end up killing the Xavier. We'd be able to get trauma on the 2 Hank Pyms. That was kind of my thought process, and I went with the Sinister's boon. Here we end up grabbing another health mod. So that's 150. We can heal up 3 characters now. This node here took me several attempts. I think I'm trying to determine, attempt 1. So what's going on here is we have Odin, who takes the 99% damage. The Null on top of the Blade, on top of the Agatha, and the Moon Knight. Just the Night Stalkers was wrecking my face during this one, because we have the pre-taunt with Man-Thing back there due to all of the characters. So we need to try to get through the Man-Thing on this run. So there we were able to get off the Man-Thing. We're stuck on the Ms. Marvel Classic. We used the special from Silver Surfer. That's able to kill off the Odin. Hood, we end up doing his special. And now I believe I try to get the stun into Moon Knight or Blade. Okay, went into Blade for this one. So we got the stun into him. And then Agatha is going to end up ulting on me and just basically one-shotting most of my characters. So that's kind of what ends up happening on this. I'm going to fast forward, and here you can see like the ultimate just like tore into me right here. So there I end up losing the Hood, and Invisible Woman, she got kind of shattered. So we end up switching over to Songbird for this hit. On attempt 2 and attempt 3, we're able to clear it with this hit. So let me fast forward to the end portion on here so you can kind of see what my thought process was. So I end up ulting turn 1. I get the clone of Moon Knight. And here I end up going more into Null because I wanted to get him killed off so he didn't ult into me. And that got the adjacent damage into Agatha. I got the stun into Blade. I do a turn me to rewind right there. There goes Null. And now I jump over to Agatha to try to get her killed off. So we have all this control going right here. Here I believe I did the basic so I can try to get rid of the Moon Knight. And now we're stuck on the Man-Thing, which is actually good because you can see all my cooldowns are pretty much out of whack at this point. Agatha's killed off, Blade is killed off. I used the ult from Moon Knight, and I'm not really worried about the other Moon Knight because we can actually get him killed off. There we use the basic. Yeah, Moon Knight bleeds out. So now I'm stuck just doing all basic attacks to get through the Man-Thing, and that's going to get all my cooldowns reset. So I was actually happy that Man-Thing ended up surviving this. Let's go ahead and fast forward, because I end up punching into him for about a minute or two that you can see right here. Alright, so there's the victory screen for that one. As far as the mod goes for this one here, crippling wound, moment of Bagheera Ghoul, and rallying below. This one here, I believe I went with the on-kill offense up, so that we can kind of keep offense up on my team. We're not really playing with a lot of bleeds, because if we would have had a Human Torch, we could have leaned more into the bleed aspect. Otherwise, we only have Invisible Woman's basic to really lean into the bleeds for this type of thing. For node 18, this one here took me about 8 or 9 attempts. This was a very, very rough node. So you're going to see attempt 1 right here, and then we're just going to jump over to the finish of it. And I'm going to kind of explain what ends up happening. So Songbird, we use the turn 1 ult to try to flip, which I think is the right call. We use the special from Invisible Woman. And here we use the special from Franklin. Franklin's special reduces the duration for Safeguard. It takes the buffs from the primary and adjacent, spreads them to the allies, then flips those buffs into negative effects. So you do want to end up using the special on this type of thing. And that also causes Invisible Woman to kind of get the ping out there. Now, what we have is a Mephisto, we have a Gore, and we have Ultimus. Ultimus kept destroying me on this node because they'd end up kind of cleansing their negative effects on this. So I get the ability block into Ultimus. And then Gore's passive starts popping off. We use the special to go into Mephisto. I want to at least get a stun on him and possibly the kill. Here comes the Gore ultimate. And that gets the Safeguard that you can see on Ultimus right here and Gore. Here Gladiator ends up doing his ability, and all those buffs go into Ultimus, and he just ulted right into my Mr. Fantastic right here and just destroyed him. So I needed to get the RNG that he'd end up punching into Gladiator on this one. And I believe we end up kind of getting wiped out shortly after this. But yeah, this one here, you can kind of see how long this match ends up going, especially with how many attacks I end up using on here. Just all those buffs, it's really hard to try to get through that Ultimus and the Gore. So there I end up using the Franklin basic. Let's go ahead, fast forward to the end of this. And I got it down to, yeah, just Ultimus right here. And then I think I actually, yeah, this one here, I actually got through it to where I could end up clearing it. The issue is my cooldowns were not where I wanted them to be. So this is the important thing of these type of danger rooms runs is if your cooldowns aren't set for the boss fight at the end, it's better to just try to milk it and get your cooldowns where they need to be. So here you can see attempt 8. This took me 8 attempts to actually clear it and actually get my cooldowns to where I want them to be, because the Xavier node is that type of node to where if you don't have everything where you want it to be, and here you can see my health isn't where I want it to be either. So we have Franklin at about half health, Invisible Woman's at half health, Mr. Fantastic's just above half, and we have this Gore. But my cooldowns were enough, and I had at least 3 heals banked up to where I could heal my characters into the last node to actually get the clear on this. Now, I know this is like all RNG as far as what you're going to get, but I want to kind of give you my thought process as I'm actually running through this to kind of help you guys out. So here we have a care package from the clear, and I believe on this one here, we have the counters that I was looking at. The evades, I think, was what I end up going with, because if I can at least get the evades on me, that could kind of give me some added protection. No, I want the counterattack. This was probably the hardest decision I had to make. Go for the heal or go for the gamble and try to get some extra mods. I did end up going towards the shop on this one because I had 3 characters that he can heal up, which is what I was checking right here. and I had 400 points banked up. I wish I had Human Torch drop in here and the permanent damage for the cards, but I didn't. So I was trying to go back and forth. Do I want to grab Helverine so I can get that turn 1 ult? The issue is he's 122 speed. He probably wouldn't get a turn on that last node. So I did decide to go towards the mod portion on here. I went with the on enemy turn, if they have bleed, give me extra turn meter, and I'm not going to get trauma. The trauma I knew I absolutely was going to end up grabbing on here. So let me fast forward. So yeah, you can see how long I was really determining what I want to end up doing for this grab. So I grabbed those two, the frenzy and that. And now we have the boss nodes. You're going to see 3 different attempts on here. This boss fight took me over 30 minutes, probably closer to about 40 minutes for me to actually clear. So right off the bat, I did 2 heals. I was going to heal up Invisible Woman. I was going to heal up Franklin. I absolutely knew that. I didn't know who I want to use the other heal on, because you can see Songbbird's at about half health along with Mr. Fantastic. Server's at about 3/4 health. I wanted to see what the turn orders look like, who was going to survive, who I need to get the extra heal. So that's why I didn't use the last heal. I was trying to be strategic in that aspect. You can see where the placement of all these characters are. And the counterattacks, you can see how much they actually protected me. The Black Panther Shuri's hidden into the counterattack breaks the chain to where they're not going to be hitting multiple characters, which I'm actually really happy about. I got the counterattack on here. Here, Professor X, you can see, has that 99% health gone at this point because of the mod that we have. We do end up ulting turn 1, so we can try to flip all those positive effects into negative effects. And then from here, Silver Surfer gets killed off right away. So I knew already I'm not going to heal up Surfer because he's going to get killed off anyway. So do I want to heal up Mr. Fantastic or do I want to heal up Songbird? Now here, if I end up using the ultimate, that's going to end up basically healing up Xavier. And we do end up having that clone of Xavier because we did the ultimate from Songbird. The special, I think, was what okay, this one here, I did the ultimate that brings everybody together, and then I just kind of resetted it. I should have kept it actually, because that was the right thing to do, as ult, which you're going to see later on in this fight. This right here is attempt, I think like 16 or something. Yeah, 16 minutes later. You can see how long I've been actually working at this, trying to figure things out. You can see the placement is still the same at this point. Placement ends up being a big thing in this later on that you're going to end up seeing. I used the ultimate from Songbird. And there I have the Xavier. Surfer gets killed off. I used the special into Hank Pym. That's what I did for the majority of it, so I can get the splash damage to kill the Xavier. Now we end up using the ultimate here from Franklin. That's going to take all those buffs off. It's going to get the silence out. And you can see I made Franklin a striker for this point. Invisible Woman was the raider, so I can try to play into get the striker shot to try to kill somebody off on here. So there I do end up getting the kill on the Black Panther Shuri. Now that back Black Panther Shuri, I believe, has lower health. And the Hank Pym that's in the middle, that's taking his turn right now, he has the lowest health. If you end up clicking and holding, kind of see what the health pools are. And that's why I try to target those type of characters, because they had less health pool, so I can start knocking a few characters out. Now this one here, I do end up losing. The reason I'm showing you this one is this was actually a pretty good hit, and it's actually right before I used the last health mod I end up grabbing on here. And there you can kind of see, I only killed Xavier, I only killed Black Panther Shuri. I was stuck at that for quite some time. And if we had that permanent damage from Human Torch, they wouldn't be bouncing back up. That's why I said Human Torch with that one boon that he has, where it's permanent damage, is so impactful to you on trying to clear this. When I ended up doing, I did have to make Human Torch, I believe, a skirmisher. I kept him as a skirmisher. I kept somebody else as a striker to really boost up the damage. That way my Human Torch was again a one shot on turn 1. So ISO placement is very, very important as well. So right here, you can see I end up switching some things around. I put Surfer next to Mr. Fantastic. I put Songbird all the way at the bookend. I made Surfer a striker for this as well. And I made Mr. Fantastic a fortifier because healer wasn't really doing much during this fight. And I did end up popping that heal on Mr. Fantastic that you see right here. Now this one here is a very close call I had. This was right before I actually got the clear. So like, I want to show you this hit here. So Tomber, we do the ultimate here. We get the clone from Xavier, which is what you always want to do. Now we end up doing the special into the Hank Pym that kills the Professor X. And I believe I did the striker shot into the Hank Pym. I pushed down fairly good right here, because I want to kill the Hank Pyms. The Hank Pyms are the bane of my existence. So I did get the one Hank killed off. And we got one of the Captain Britain's killed off right here. We end up popping the ultimate. That ends up kind of getting us a lot of buffs on Mr. Fantastic and the time. So they have to punch into him. The Black Panther Shuri does bleed out. Here I use the ultimate from Invisible Woman. And I believe I kill... Yeah, the Black Panther Shuri bleeds out. And then these two just kind of tear into me. That ultimate move from Hank Pym, that tank drop, is just so nasty. The immunity right here definitely hurts. I still use the special so I can get some extra buffs up on the Invisible Woman right here. And there you can kind of see I end up falling apart at this one. So let's go ahead to the last and final hit. So this is the final hit right here on how I actually clear it. And again, this took me about 40 minutes of trying to figure out the puzzle on this. So here we use the ultimate. We get the clone from Xavier on here. We use the special into the middle. The reason that I targeted the Black Panther Shuri is because we have Xavier. The mind control is going to end up having the Hank Pym kill Xavier anyways. And this would end up getting me some vulnerables out there. So I try to get the striker shot. So that's why I end up playing it that way. So here I target Hank Pym. I use the ultimate so I can get the silence, get those positive effects out, and I get the striker shot into that Hank Pym right here. So now that Hank Pym's going to end up killing Xavier, which is perfect. And right here, there's some more mind controls. That's why the Xavier with the Sinister Boon was so important. Here, I thought I was going to end up losing. We lost our Invisible Woman and our Songbird, but we still have Xavier and we still have Franklin actually looking pretty good. The death proofs from Reed were so clutch at this point. And here, I want to take out the Hank Pym. The Hank Pym, the assist and everything, the heals to keep the team going is just so nasty. So now we got our turn with Franklin. And there goes the mind control killing the Captain Britain. Right here, I'm just monitoring the health of my party. I end up using Xavier. He finally gets his turn. I use the special into the cluster. And that ends up killing one of the Black Panther Shuris. Mind control kills the other Black Panther Shuri. Here, I can actually get the stun into the Hank Pym at this point. And I just need to try to survive now until I can make it to Xavier's ultimate, which I wasn't sure if this would end up happening, but I did get it pulled off. So that's how I end up clearing it on the second attempt right here, using the arena boon. Now, as far as the ranking goes, if you're kind of curious what my rank is during this did get me a new high score. And over here, you can see the top few places, how they have that 108,000 points. They basically used 3 characters to be able to get through. That's how you kind of push through and get those max scores on here. We end up getting ranked 272 with that run. So the top 50, if you're trying to push for the leaderboard on here, it's going to be very, very rough to be able to kind of do that. So I just kind of want to give you my point of view as far as how I kind of approach Danger Room. I really enjoyed the puzzle aspect. It took me a total, when I was trying to do this, probably about 3 or 4 hours, which I actually did end up enjoying. I know it's not for everybody, but if you're trying to actually get through and at least get those milestones, like I said, farm up that difficulty 8, 9, whatever it is, the max that you can end up doing. Get as many points as you can, get the arena packed on. If you need to get any additional mods, go for this damage, the resistance, the armor. Start stacking up on those before you actually do your difficulty 10 run. It's kind of imperative. I'm probably gonna end up doing a few more runs myself. I have all those points banked up, so I'll probably keep the arena one on. I'm gonna start adding more of the damage ones. I might end up trying to attempt the 3 or more character or 3 or less characters one, just to kind of see what that kind of experience is like for me. But hopefully you guys enjoy this. Hopefully this did kind of give you an insight as far as what mods to look for, how to approach each of the nodes, and hopefully you guys do start enjoying this danger, because I know this one is rough. It's just content that I actually am looking forward to, because I want difficult, challenging content personally. If you guys did enjoy this video, please remember to like, share, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of the day.